of Commerce, and we are very excited to have you join us this morning. We have a wonderful presentation with Commissioner Richard Weaver from District 2, which is Hampstead and Finksburg. And as a Hampstead resident, I think I can tell you I've seen a smidge of his presentation, and this is certainly one you won't want to miss. It's a lot of great information and some of the information for the plans for the North Carroll High School property. So just a few Zoom etiquette rules for today. I know we've been using this platform now for probably about a year and a half, but in case anyone is unfamiliar with Zoom, just a few things that we ask of you today. If you are not presenting, we please ask that you do mute yourself. This will allow for minimal disruptions during the presentation. In addition to that, if you can see yourself, we can see you too. So if for any reason you need to turn your camera off at any moment, certainly feel free to do so. There will be an opportunity for questions and answers at the end of today's presentation. So if at any time you do have any questions, please certainly put them in the chat box. We would like to thank our friends at the Community Media Center of Carroll County. CMC is wonderful partners with the Chamber here. They are filming this event today. It will be streamed live. It will be available to be seen on their Facebook page, their YouTube, their website, the Chamber's website, and channels HD 1086 and 19. So with that, I would like to introduce the chair of our 2021 Chamber Board of Directors, Mr. Steve Aquino of Aquino Financial Group, and he will share with you some information about today's presenters as well as our sponsors. So Steve, take it away.
Thank you so much, Becky, and good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Steve Aquino. I'm serving as chair of the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. This is my second term in here. I did it 10 years ago, and I'm proud to be serving again. I'd just like to welcome everybody and thank you for all being here on our Zoom meeting. I guess it's probably a good thing that we're doing it today with all the rain out there, so nobody's running in and out. So this works out perfect. As we start opening up, a lot of events and a lot of our different things that we do for our members here for Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. And again, we have a great presentation today, so I'm going to kind of just jump right into it and kind of make a couple of different announcements here. Some of the other great presentations and some of the great events that we have coming up. So with that being said, on June 29th, we do have a live PM Connection that's going to be held at Mercer Carpets. On July 13th, we have a live PM Connection hosted by the Taste of Carroll team and will take place at American Ice Company Cafe right here on Main Street in Westminster. July 27th, we have a live PM Connections. We don't have all the details yet, but keep checking back to the website and we'll get that out to everybody. August 2nd, we do have a live breakfast at the fair. So make sure you sign up for that. That should be a good one. And August 26th, the Carroll Biz Challenge will be live at the Carroll Arts Center. That's going to be a big event. I know we've been working really hard on that. A lot of applications came in, and so that's going to be a good one. Leadership Carroll class of 2022 is full, but we are still accepting applications for the waiting list. October 1st is the Chamber's golf outing. That's always a great and fun time. Get a team together, get some sponsors together, and come out and have a good time with that one. So as you can see, we have a lot of upcoming events. A lot of them are going to be live. So look to the website, sign up, register to be a part of those. As usual, to have events like this, we need to have great sponsors. And as usual, today we do have a bunch of great sponsors, a few sponsors for today's event, and we're going to give them an opportunity to speak at this point. And I'd like to introduce first, our first sponsors is Andrea Burstall, the Executive Director of the Carroll County Library System and Exploration Commons. Andrea, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Steve, so much. The library is always pleased to be able to partner with the Chamber on these breakfasts. We're sorry we can't do it in person for this one. We're almost there. But we would like to let you all know that the library is open for business. We are now running from 9 in the morning till 8 at night, Monday through Thursdays, and 9 to 5 on Fridays and Saturdays. So we're really pleased to be able to be as open and welcoming the community back into all of our locations. We're also in the starting up for summer reading. Summer reading is a great program. It involves everyone in the community, from the very young to the very old. And then all of us in between. And it's not just for the kids, there's prizes for everyone. So please make sure you stop by the website, sign up. We are using Beanstack as a mobile app for tracking your reading, and you can also pick up some game boards if you want to do it the analog way on paper. I also want to encourage everyone, and since this is in Commissioner Weaver's district, I'm sure he'll be really interested. Stop by the Finksburg Library. We have a brand new art installation that went in there just about 2.5-3 weeks ago. It's called Life of a Seed. It's by local artist Thomas Sterner. We're real excited. This will be on permanent display here at the Finksburg branch. For those of you who have not been to Finksburg, it has a wonderful garden there. In fact, gardens, there are several gardens there. And we're real happy to have this brand new artwork installed there at the Finksburg branch. So stop by, take a look, and while you're there, come in and visit, say hello to the staff, and check out a few items. Again, we're real happy to be sponsoring these. We look forward to when they're going to be in person shortly. And we are truly thankful for our partnership with the Chamber and the local business community. So with that, Steve, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Our next sponsor I'd like to introduce is Taste of Carroll. And on behalf of Taste of Carroll, Erin Danello, Executive Assistant and Community Affairs Coordinator for Penguin Random House, will now give us a nice little presentation. Welcome, Erin.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Yes, my name is Erin Danello, and I am with Penguin Random House, but today I am representing the Taste of Carroll team. So just give me a moment to share my screen, and I'm just going to pull up a brief presentation. Okay, so Penguin Random House is a long-term supporter of the Taste of Carroll and Carroll Hospice. But I'm involved because I have a personal connection to hospice. We had to utilize hospice when my father was diagnosed with ALS in 2017. Hospice services were brought into the home. We were able to keep my dad at home and use the hospice services for the month he had left. And what a tremendous calling it is to be a hospice nurse. I mean, they just gave us so many tips to make my dad comfortable, to have his final days be with dignity. And in knowing that he was cared for, it put us at ease. So hospice isn't just for the patient, it really cares for the whole family. So that is just why I'm personally so passionate about this program. And with COVID, I mean, I think everyone's saying that we couldn't have Taste of Carroll in person this year. But what we did is we asked everyone to embark on a year-long culinary road trip. So we put together a community cuisine passport book. So all the vendors that would have appeared under the tent at Carroll Hospital, a lot of them have an offering, or think of it as a coupon, in this Taste of Carroll book that you can use and go visit that establishment. It could be a restaurant, a cafe, an eatery, a brewery, and use their offering and get a little discount off your meal or a particular item. And in turn, you're supporting Taste of Carroll. So with your $100 donation that supports Carroll Hospice, now named Bridging Life, you are directly impacting the families that utilize the services at Carroll Hospice. The Carroll Hospice mission is, again, now named Bridging Life, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the quality of life for patients needing end-of-life care, allowing them to live as fully and comfortably as possible, by providing quality palliative care, pain and symptom management, and support for their families. And if you do see these postcards around, if you have your phone handy and you have the QR code, you can click right on that I have up on screen, or you can visit tasteofcarroll.org. And the Carroll, why I'm such a fan of hospice, because their holistic philosophy of treatment addresses the patient's physical, emotional, spiritual needs, allowing them to live as fully and comfortably as possible. Whether caring for patients in their own homes, in healthcare settings such as nursing homes, or in a beautiful inpatient facility, Dove House, We help patients make the most of each day while respecting their end-of-life wishes. Carroll Hospice helps patients experience peace, comfort, dignity through end of life, allows patients to make their own decisions regarding care and treatment, and supports family members and other caregivers in their efforts to care for their loved one. For example, the Bridging Life expansion and the Blessing of the Dove House was just held on May 24th, and a team of dedicated volunteers raised over $4 million for that project. But the Taste of Carroll funds are also additional philanthropy dollars that help provide special customer experiences and services year over year. So what do you get if you donate $100 as your gift, you get the Community Cuisine Passport book. So these are some of the participating vendors by location. So in Hampstead, Bertucco's Bakery in Greenmount Station. Greenmount Station offers a full crab cake platter. That's amazing. Other places might offer a free cupcake or a free drink off your meal. So these are some of the offerings. And if you want to view the exact offering, you can visit tasteofcarroll.com, and all the participating vendors and their offering are listed on the site if you want to browse that before you decide to make your donation. And these are the remaining participating vendors in other locations throughout the county. And there are a few outside of Carroll as well. So for example, if you happen to give $200, that provides grief counseling and support for a child grieving the loss of a parent through Camp TR, which is a free one-day retreat for children ages 7 to 15. The camp offers a safe, supportive environment to help children understand and cope with their grief. And they are surrounded by peers experiencing the similar emotions, and campers learn that they're not alone, and they could start to feel more comfortable sharing their feelings. So again, if you are so inclined to purchase a Community Cuisine Passport book, you could contact me directly. You can go to thetasteofcarroll.org, or you could utilize the QR code on your screen. We are going to be at 2 upcoming chamber events. We'll be at the Mercer Carpet PM Connection on Tuesday, June 29th from 4 to 6. And Taste of Carroll is hosting the July 13th PM Connection, which will be at American Ice Company Cafe, which happens to be in the book. So I hope you could come out and join us. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Erin, so much. I appreciate it. And I'm sure that I definitely will be at those events, and I already got my passport book and I've been using it. So I appreciate that, and glad to be able to support and also help out with the restaurant. So it's all win-win situation all the way around. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Next, I'd like to thank and introduce our next sponsor, who is our media sponsor, CMC, who graciously comes in and helps us out with making sure that all these programs get out there, and a great partner and support of the chamber. So I'd like to introduce Richard Turner, Executive Director of CMC. Thank you so much, Richard.
Great. Thanks so much, Steve. Definitely a pleasure to be the media sponsor, be here as part of all of these events. And if you've missed any of them, of course, you can go to the YouTube, you can go to the website of the chamber as well to be able to see any of the archive videos, because it's a great opportunity really to share what's going on in the community for us. So really a pleasure to be here. I look forward to seeing people in person, though. I know we're on the brink of that, and we've already had some chamber events. Chamber is a great network for anybody who's out there, who's watching and isn't a member. I encourage you to join, take advantage of all the services that the chamber offers. And where's Mike? We're
on vacation.
He's
taking a break. I don't know if he was allowed to do that, but he did.
All right. Well, we miss Mike. But we're glad to see everybody else here, Becky and Steve, as usual, hosting. Thanks also to Erin for sharing your personal story. I look forward to making the culinary road trip in this year's version of the Taste of Carroll. There's a great number of excellent events that are going on and activities that are going on in Carroll County. You can subscribe to 5 things that are going on this weekend if you go to our Facebook or to our website. And tune in to be able to see them. I'm going to give you 2 more events. I know you already had a list full. Now, one of those is the upcoming Historical Society's virtual gala that the CMC is proud to be a media sponsor of. That's happening this Saturday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to put the link to that because it's free to attend. It's a great opportunity to learn about communications and what's been going on in the county with communications, and see some of the talent that's going on, and hear about the Historical Society and some of the benefits that they offer to our community. And then in addition, a second thing that's going on is we're gearing up for sports in the fall. So with the return of sports, there's going to be a return of CM Sportsnet, which is our coverage of local high school and college sports. And we'll be looking for sponsors. So we know there are businesses out there that want to be able to get the word out about what they're doing to our local community constituents and patrons and colleagues. So this is a great way of being able to spread the word about what you're doing in your business by sponsoring some of the upcoming sports that are coming on in with our CM Sportsnets. So with that, Mike, and I'm sure Steve would say shop local. I'm going to say watch local, tune in to 1086, subscribe to our YouTube, check us out on Facebook. Thanks, Steve. We'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate it. And it's great to see and hear about all these events, these live events, everybody getting back together, seeing each other face to face. So I look forward to seeing everybody out there, bouncing around to all these great events. And since Mike's not here, and he always says it, Richard, just mentioned it, make sure shop local, make sure that you support all of our chamber members. People are getting back on their feet. People are open. People are excited. So continue that momentum as we get back out there. And with that being said, we got a great program right now that I'm going to be able to introduce Commissioner Dick Weaver from District 2, who's going to present and give us a lot of great information. And I thank you so much for being here. Commissioner Weaver, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. By the way, I do want to thank the Chamber for having these events. I know you do a different commissioner each month and what's going on in their area or in the county. But Mike better be careful. Becky, you've done a great job of putting this together. So he should be on his toes in the future here. And Richard, I want to thank CMC for working with us as you always do. It really helps get our presentations out. And I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I think that's what has to happen in this presentation. As you know, about 4 years ago, the county commissioners were handed back 3 properties or schools that were basically decommissioned or taken out of service. And Charles Carroll, which was demolished, and they're getting ready to break ground for a community center there. And they haven't started, they're getting ready to. We have the North Carroll High School, which is a huge property, 50 acres, 240,000 square foot building. That building is in great shape. Biggest thing is, I guess, the HVAC in that, but we've been through a lot of possibilities over the last few years, a lot of town meetings talking about, technical schools or moving into what we're going to do with this property. And then while we were going through this, we decided to use it and keep it open for the rec councils and for the community use. The sheriff's department at that time had started their training academy in that facility. And it's evolved into quite a event center already. And it's about a year ago, a little over a year ago, Matt Cullender called me and said, "Is the school still for sale?" And he's an Edward Jones guy in Hampstead. I think he saw his picture in the paper today with the athletic boosters at Manvel. And he is one that kind of got this started, got this ball rolling. And as usual, I showed the school or the facility to Ethan Sunderland, who had the idea, vision for some fields and get started. Well, he started working with some groups, and at that time, we did have some interest in other parts of school and what we're doing with it, and people were putting proposals together. Well, we were lucky enough to, I guess, partner here or find an investor who wants to take this and really do something different with it. We do have still concern for the community, and it's in the town of Hampstead, which is unique. The town of Hampstead holds the zoning where we own the building. So this becomes a unique enterprise, and I met with the Mayor Nevin quite a bit, and we have worked out quite a program. And today, want to introduce, I guess, two of the people occupying that building. One you probably already know, Sheriff Jim DeWeese has been in there and working with the training center and the other parts of the building. But I want to introduce Mr. Matt Laraway, who's Executive Vice President and partner with Chesapeake Real Estate Group. And Matt has been great to the community so far and putting this whole package together. I know he spent the better part of a year working on this project and making it happen. We're within weeks now of settling on this and making it something that's going to benefit the community. And I just want to mention, people do not realize the scope and the economic boost this is going to be to Carroll County. This is going to be an event center, much like I equate it to Shady Nook and Spooky Nook. Sorry, I don't know why I got in Pennsylvania, a large center if you've ever been there for any of the sports events. But Hampstead is going to be the sports center, I think, for the county, as well as the region. And I'm looking at multi-state regions, as I'm saying region, just not Central Maryland. This is going to be a phenomenal event coming up. You have some pictures here, put up here of what we're talking about. Yeah, this is the old the high school there, and I opened this in 1976. If you're not aware of that, I knew we moved in February from what was the middle school to the high school, and this whole facility started. By the way, those Panthers were made by a group of students who did not have community service hours and put them together. This stadium is state of the art. The whole facility was unbelievable as far as the size and the way the school worked was phenomenal for years. But several years ago, they decided to close it. This auditorium is second to none in the county. And I'm going to introduce Matt here and let him talk about their future for this facility and where they want to go with it. So, Matt, if you could come on board here, I'd like to introduce you.
Sure. Thanks, Dick. Thanks to the Chamber for allowing us to speak to you all today. Quick little snippet about Chesapeake Real Estate Group. We've started out as an industrial real estate developer. We're based down in Hanover, Maryland, down by the airport, and we historically have built big warehouses for Amazon, Best Buy, and the like. We've got a group of partners here that have a passion for youth sports, and we were approached by Mayor Nevin and Ethan Sunderland and others about participating in this project. We just finished a youth sports facility down in Anne Arundel County in Glen Burnie, which is going extremely well, and it's a combination of indoor and outdoor, and that's really what we envision here. I also am a Hampstead resident. Got married in 2017 and moved up to Hampstead and live over in the Oakmont Green area. So, our plan here is to really create a 50-acre wellness campus. And if you want to throw up maybe the first plan, which shows kind of the exterior field complex, if possible. So the goal here is to really create a campus that's going to be for the community, for some business, and really with a focus on growing our community activities and student athletes. As we know, there's been a lack of field and in particular turf opportunities in Carroll County. We now have a phenomenal facility that was just constructed up the street by Alex Jacobs and his great team at Coppermine. And but beyond that, we had the Gerstel Field, which was the only turf option in Carroll County. And it kind of came to me when I was driving. It became more apparent when I was driving to and from Western Regional Park for home and away field hockey games for our oldest daughter, who's at Manchester Valley. So that was kind of a bummer to have to drive to and from Western Regional a couple nights a week. When you're playing Century down there, that was kind of a shocker. But so the concept here is the design that we have into the county is initially 2 turf fields, one right in the middle of the existing stadium. So the existing stadium and concessions buildings will remain. They're going to be completely renovated, just sort of from a cosmetic functionality and safety standpoint. Both of those turf fields will be lit. There is a plan to increase the turf capacity here, but the initial plan is to deliver these 2 turf fields by March 1st of 2022. The campus will also include, as you can see, we are eliminating the track. The track did not allow us to get the full turf field surfaces, including the appropriate collars around the field in. So we are eliminating the track. However, we're going to be doing a walking path around the entire, or walking/running path around the entire perimeter of the property, so that it can still be accessed by the community and people can still use it from an exercise standpoint. So we've had a wonderful working relationship with the county. All of the offices, they've been being encouraged by the commissioners and all of the offices that are handling the permitting have been super responsive and wonderful to deal with. We just responded to our most recent round of comments, and I feel really confident that we're going to be on schedule to deliver these first week in March of 2022. And then if you could flip to the more challenging part of the project, which was the reuse of the existing building. I think there was a lot of plans that were put before the commissioners that did not have the building being reused. We see an enormous amount of value in the building. The building is in incredible shape, and I guess we should all thank the sheriff's department for that, because when Sheriff DeWeese put his academy in there shortly after the school closed, if anybody's ever seen vacant buildings, they get stripped of copper and anything of value really, really quickly. And you have your own built-in security force in there, and just guys that were handy and taking care of the project, not getting paid to do it, but actually just making repairs, taking care of things, making things were working. If something was broken, they would notify Public Works and make sure things were taken care of. So we at Chesapeake are thankful that they were there because the building's in a lot better condition than it originally was. So this plan may be a little bit confusing, but the concept here really is that we're going to be turning the building, and so we're going to be naming the whole project Panther Athletic Club. And we really want to make sure that we stay consistent with and respectful of the history of the high school, because we know it means a lot to the community. We're going to be creating really 3 separate ideas here. The first one being the offices at the Panther Athletic Club, which will be, it's not going to be your traditional law firm, accounting firm. I mean, if some of those folks want to show up, we'd love to talk to them. But I think the real feel here is wellness. We are already in some pretty good conversations, not at a point where we can release names yet, with some people in the sports medicine world. But anything that you can consider wellness, whether it's sports medicine, physical therapy, yoga, strength and conditioning, that's the type of thing that you're going to see here. And that's, spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, for people that know the school, what was originally the classroom piece of the school is what's going to be kind of a secured office piece. The middle of the project, which you see is yellow, we're going to be referring to it as the Center for the Arts at the Panther Athletic Club. And I mean, we have an 825-seat auditorium, and when we've had some concert providers come in and look, when you start adding some chairs in areas that otherwise weren't seats, you can get this up to almost 1,000. And the old band room and chorus room really operate really well for backstage, for theater, and for concerts. And we're super excited. This has been the biggest surprise, to be honest with you, since we've started the project. We had in the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've been pretty much fully occupied on the weekends with different dance studios that didn't have a place to go. They didn't have a place to go pre-COVID, but then COVID made it even more difficult. So we were able to work with the county and with the Public Works Department and with the fire marshal and with the sheriff's department to come up with a solution that allowed these groups to operate in there. And because we don't own the building yet, they were operating free of charge. We were taking care of cleaning and making sure that it was a safe place for them. But to see that place full 3 nights on weekends and to see that population spilling out into the area restaurants, it's pretty exciting. So that's going to continue. We actually already have fairly firm commitments for all of May and all of June for people that want to use the auditorium. And we're in some pretty serious conversations with others to fill it for the balance of the year. I'd like to thank Laura Wansala and her theater group out of Carroll County, Players on Air. She's been helping us lead the charge in the programming of this. So as you can imagine, as a warehouse guy, I don't really have the pulse of the arts market in Carroll County. So I've been very thankful for them. 2 other interesting things that you could see here is we've got Arena 1 and Arena 2. So the old media center, as part of this development, we're going to be turning that into a indoor turf box arena for kids play and some box lacrosse and field hockey training. So that space, if you've been to the school, you may not think it's big enough, but it's actually 65 by 130. And the ceiling heights, we can get up to about 14 feet when we remove the ceilings and raise the sprinkler heads and everything. So that's going to be an area that some of our sports medicine opportunities are going to spill out into. But that's going to be an indoor arena that will have a turf surface for practice and play. The second space in here, Arena 2, is the old cafeteria. We're going to be putting the same floor in Arena 2 that is currently in the auxiliary gym, which is kind of a rubberized sport court flooring. And we're going to be filling in the stairwell that currently goes down to the lower level. So in that space, you'll have a 70 foot wide by 130 foot long, same ceiling height, about 14 feet. And our focus there is going to be futsal, field hockey, maybe some pickleball opportunities, but anything that really can get done in the auxiliary gym will be able to also occur in the Arena 2. It will also be a really nice multifunctional space if we need overflow for bigger auditorium events. The auxiliary gym shows on this plan because it's on this same floor. This floor is kind of the main floor plan. And if you could flip to the next plan, I can walk through that and then take some questions. So we're really going to be defining and having these places operate as their own kind of individual secured facilities. So this is the main level, or the first floor that you access off of Panther Drive. And down here is where we're going to be having the sheriff's department. And I have to say, I've worked with a lot of groups over my 20 years doing this, big companies, little companies, and working with Sheriff DeWeese and his team has been refreshing. And looks like we're working through final details of them being in this space. It really works well for them. His team is awesome to have. All of the people that come in to use the facility for athletics really enjoy having them there. So they're in about 18,000 square feet on the first floor. Most of that was, the old shop space, and I guess some home ec spaces. I'm sure Dick knows that space intimately, all that stuff down there. And then we've got the main gym and the wrestling rooms and the locker rooms. And our plan is to continue to work with the rec councils, to continue to work with the local travel teams, club teams, to use the gym, to use the fields. And we've already kind of agreed on a partnership with the Manchester Wrestling to continue their use of the wrestling rooms and to continue to run their tournaments in the facility. So, really what you're going to see on these main level, it will be a lot of cosmetic upgrades. We're changing out all of the lighting to energy efficient lighting. We're going to be doing some upgrades to all of the restrooms. So the area that's currently got a use and occupancy that everybody's using, we're not going to be doing major reconstruction. It'll be efficiency and cosmetic upgrades. The other portions of the building, like the classroom piece, you're going to see some major interior reconstruction. So it's been exciting to see the community's reaction to this, and everybody's been amazing to work with. We've been getting great support, and that's kind of the 30,000-foot view of what we're up to. It's been a busy couple of months, and as Dick had suggested, we do now have a closing date that looks like it's about 5.5 weeks out, if I'm looking at my calendar right. So maybe a little longer than that, but so we're super excited to move this forward. So with that, I don't know if Sheriff DeWeese or if Dick wanted to add on to that, and then however you all feel appropriate, I'm happy to field some questions.
Maybe Sheriff would want to make some comments while this slides up, what he's doing in that area.
Yeah, no problem. So the kind of how did we get there? And some will say that we squatted when the place closed. And since I do the evictions in the county, it's hard to evict me from a facility. So it kind of came. It was almost weird how it all came about. I've spoken with a lot of you that are on the call and how we got there, why we're there. But it was around the spring of 2017 that we were realizing that we needed to form our own police academy. We needed to train our own deputies, and for a number of reasons, but primarily I had a number of openings. School resource was looming in the future. So I had about 19 individuals I needed to send through a police academy. And the way it works is that you call these police departments that run their own academy, and you kind of shop around and say, can you take 2 of my people? Can you take 2 of my people? And they were being trained to standards, but they weren't being trained the way that we needed them trained. And also, you were taking a chance that you couldn't get them into a police academy. So we started down at the Public Safety Training Center, great facility, but it really didn't meet the needs. We went up to North Carroll High School, started looking at that. And in the summer of 2017, I often say, just give us a place and we'll make it a home. And that's exactly what we did. We used a lot of internal labor to get it to where it was today. And so over the next few years, it kind of evolved into a facility where until Matt showed up, we were kind of the key holders with it. The rec council would communicate with my staff that was there and try and get in and out, and we would do security for the place. And Matt's right. I've been doing this for 32 years. If you leave a building unattended and vacant for a short period of time, it's going to be stripped of all its resources. And the reason it's sitting the way it's sitting today is because of the staff up there that kept a close eye on it, and facilities coming up at each time we made a request. So if you look at that current map that you're seeing, that blue part all the way down to the steps. So when you walk in from the parking lot to the gymnasium, which would be the backside of Panther, as soon as you come into the right, all the way down the hall to the stairways is where we have, and I believe Commissioner Weaver taught in one of those rooms for a couple or 3 decades, but he's very familiar with that area. And so we have slowly gone through the process of recreating that space so that we have what we need. So just so you understand, we're in September, we'll start our 5th class of police academy recruits. We'll have about 30 individuals from all over the state, including from my office, start in September for law enforcement. I have a corrections academy class that starts there in September also. We're constantly doing in-service for my folks, for allied agencies around the county. We're constantly doing professional development training for my individuals as well as agencies throughout the region. So it's a great venue to host post-COVID large venue type events where we can bring in guest instructors to give training out to large groups of folks. One of the things that we have there that we're in the process of creating, we just purchased a virtual use of force simulator, and it's state of the art, and it's basically a system where it comes with 800 live role playing scenarios that we can play out on a video screen with our deputies. It comes with the same firearm that we use. It comes with OC spray. It comes with tasers. So essentially what happens is a deputy responds to a call, walks into an incident, and this screen, I believe, is about 30 foot long by about 8 or 9 foot high. And so what happens with the virtual use of force simulator is we put props in the room. We've got a large enough room there that we actually have a portion of a car that the deputy can get out of and make an approach. We have walls, we have different props there, and training the deputies so that they can de-escalate situations, that they can understand what type of force is appropriate. And what happens is with those scenarios is it's so advanced that an instructor sits in the back of the room on a computer, and if the deputy is not taking not de-escalating the incident or not using the appropriate force when it comes to that, the instructor can send that scenario in a whole different direction and force the deputy to do something that they probably shouldn't have done. And then it's all recorded. And so then we can go back and explain to the deputy, this is where you went wrong. This is why you had to pull a gun instead of using a taser. This is what you said that created an incident that probably, if you'd have used other words, could have de-escalated the situation. That is absolutely priceless to have a room the size that we have and the ability to put a virtual system like that in. I also have a quartermaster that's there. We have about 2,500 square foot of quartermaster space there. That's very valuable to an organization like mine. And then at the very far of the building, we used that as a large classroom for our most recent class because of COVID. We did not stop. I still need to train deputies regardless of COVID. We just had to adjust the protocol. So that large room at the very end of the hallway really helped us with spreading everyone out and keeping them away from each other. So in the middle of COVID, I ran a class that had 23, 24 deputies and allied agencies in it, and graduated that class also. What we plan on doing, if we're able to get a grant, which we're kind of waiting for any day now, is to utilize that space in the far corner as a digital evidence unit. So for body worn camera, we would have to put about 135, 140 body worn cameras in play. And the price of the cameras, it's somewhat expensive. Storage is expensive. There's expenses to it. The biggest expense is personnel. I tell everybody this, we make about 21,000 traffic stops a year just in my office. If you put a body worn camera on a deputy, every one of those traffic stops is a potential subject to a Maryland request for information. And so somebody's got to filter that information, redact it, and we have to have personnel and space to do that. So if we're fortunate enough to get this grant through Congress and get body worn camera up and running, that's where that unit will be positioned temporarily until we get a facility built on the compound not far from me, but it would be several years that they would be there. So this space could not have come at a better time. And Matt and my folks and Chesapeake have worked wonderfully together. It is a partnership that couldn't be any better. It couldn't be a finer example of government and nonprofits and an organization like Chesapeake coming in and creating a facility where everybody's working together. And kudos to Commissioner Weaver and the rest of the Board of Commissioners for advancing this project, because they could have been weak and knocked the place down and said, we'll just sell 50 acres of property, but they weren't. And the commissioner knew exactly what needed to be positioned up there. And this facility couldn't be a better location. My wife's actually there in the main gym this morning running basketball camps. There's a constant flow of people coming in and out. So, and I think that we work so incredibly well with this overall project. I'm very appreciative, but it couldn't not have come at a better time with the mandates that are coming down from Annapolis, and to have a facility like this. I have large federal agencies and county and city agencies that come here for professional development and shake their heads wondering how we got this facility because they don't have anything that looks like it. And so very appreciative, very appreciative. If anybody has any questions, please feel free.
I think the questions would be, okay, there's one.
So we have a question here. What are the plans for the classroom areas?
Yeah, so the classroom areas, if you flip back to the plan just prior, classroom areas are what we're going to be referring to as the offices. And that's going to be, a combination of daycare, athletic training, physical therapy, maybe an urgent care. So that's going to be, office spaces, and it is going to be secured off from the auditorium. We're going to be having a key card control access system that'll allow, like if somebody's in the auditorium, they're not going to have free flow access into the classroom. So that'll be office spaces, but wellness type offices. The second floor we're still working on. I think that one of the long-term plans for the second floor, I would call it phase 2 plan, would be to take the second floor classroom, because we just don't think there's going to be enough demand for office spaces to do 2 floors. It's a really big footprint. I mean, it's the size of if you take the footprint of just that classroom building, that would arguably be a large office footprint in downtown Baltimore. So it's a pretty big space. So the second floor, our vision, and this would be a year 2, 3 vision as things grow, is to do a dormitory style accommodations up there where we could handle camps, tournaments, and those types of things, so that we wouldn't be able to accommodate all the teams that come to the facility, but it would be able to accommodate. We've had a lot of groups that have said, hey, we want to do some big camps here. We want to do some big tournaments here. Is there an opportunity for us to have some accommodations upstairs? So we do have our architects have laid out some dormitory style housing with some team rooms and that type of thing. So that would be a long-term vision in phase 2. As Dick had mentioned, Spooky Nook up in PA, they actually have a whole hotel and retail kind of component to what they do. So that's really what the plan is for the classrooms, is kind of wellness and medical office, and then a potential to do a phase 2 dormitory style housing upstairs.
Thank you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Matt, I do have a question. So I am also a Hampstead resident, and I do live actually on the street adjacent to this complex. Have there been any studies or research that has been done into what types of potential expected traffic increases we may see through the neighborhood? Is the hope that most of the traffic is directed through the bypass?
Yeah, we actually have done, and it was one of the requirements we had during permitting. We have done traffic studies, and in fact, I mean, we'll on some weekend days, if we're having big tournaments, and that's a couple weekends of the year, we'll be generating a little bit more traffic than was there when it was a high school. But when you consider when it was a high school, fully occupied, 5 days a week, was generating more traffic than we're going to generate on your typical day. Most of the traffic will be coming off of the bypass and into Panther Drive at that traffic light, and not going through the community over by, Shiloh Road. But yeah, we did have traffic studies done in the intersection, both the roundabout and the intersection at Panther Drive and 482 are sufficient to handle the traffic we're going to be generating.
Becky, I might add, we had about 400 cars a day when the high school was at its peak, going in and out of there. So, the community handled it fine at that time. And most of the traffic goes 482 and to Route 30 or the other way with the bypass. So that is great. You see why I'm excited about this whole project. I mean, Matt Laraway and Jim DeWeese have been great to work with in this whole process, as well as the rest of the Chesapeake team. But also, Matt, you didn't mention you've allowed the farmers market there on Saturday morning, and I know the carnival may locate there. It depends on and you've been really community oriented, and you looked out in this whole process for the school system, which, by the way, just 2 or 3 years ago, when we had all that wet weather, we didn't play a championship game on a home field. We didn't have a field that could happen. And I know Matt's very conscious about that and what's going on. So this is great as far as getting the schools involved, the rec councils looking out for them, and the community. And by the way, this will be probably the safest place in Carroll County. You have the sheriff's department, the sheriff's cars, you have the Hampstead Police Department. No one in their right mind is even going to try to do anything in that area. It just surprises me that, we were setting a model with the training academy and what Sheriff DeWeese has. He's working with a private group at Chesapeake, and they are have been phenomenal to work with. And as this comes together, I just hope that we this boom for the area is going to be, it's just going to be phenomenal, and people I don't think envision what it's going to do for us.
Yeah, I think many of us are really excited. I know we have another comment here that says this is excellent news for the Hampstead and Carroll County area. What is the anticipated local economic impact?
Well, that's a tough question. I actually haven't thrown the and Ethan Sunderland isn't here today, but he knows the numbers down to like the person in the run tournament who's going to be coming in and out of the facility, how much hours or cars going to be moving. He's got a lot of detail. I know that we're going to have a full-time staff on site. So Chesapeake Real Estate Group, while we have property management company, we're going to be having full-time staff on site. And 2 executive level positions, and then a lot of obviously facilities and staff level positions. So there will certainly be some jobs created there. And I do know from being out and about 2 Saturdays ago that we currently, because the fire panel hasn't been upgraded yet, have only been allowed to have the auditorium at 50% occupancy. And that's with Sheriff DeWeese allowing a couple of his deputies to do fire watch for us. And just that has been filling the restaurants, which is exciting. And so once we're at, double that, right, we'll have 800 plus people in there, and that could be on top of us having something going on outside. I've not looked at what kind of revenue that's going to be bringing to the local businesses, but I know that even just being partially open, we've had an impact, and so hopefully that'll continue. We also were not planning to. Our office layout plan, we're not trying to open restaurants and stuff necessarily right in the building. I think that for us, we want to drive the business to Main Street, or we want to drive Main Street businesses to bring food trucks out or give them opportunities to serve on site. So that's also part of our longer term plan. So
already I've had feedback from some of the restaurant owners, and all of a sudden they have this big influx of business, and it's due to what they're doing at the high school or from some of these events. And it's going to be, I said, just unbelievable. It's hard to forecast how much, but I think it's going to carry over into Westminster, hotels, and everything else is going to be a big boom. So it's, I wish we could forecast that, but that's going to be, I guess, Matt's area to get into to promote this, and Ethan to get the numbers up. But I think Ethan mentioned he would probably have 30 some weeks a year that his field's used at capacity. So I think that's got to be a big boost in the area.
Certainly. Another comment here, and I believe you mentioned that the closing date was about 5.5 weeks away. Is the closure a given, or are there any risks that may delay or prevent the closure?
I think I had my date wrong, but I do. It's probably public record at this point. The closing date we were trying to get it done by the end of June, but because of a lot of stuff relative to permitting and just processes that we had to run through, we did set the closing date for, Dick, I think it was August 11th is what we're set on now.
Yeah.
Before we kind of had a closing date that was estimated to be or hoping to be June 30th, and that had a lot of different hoops that we had to jump through to hit that date. And as we've been jumping through hoops, a couple of the finish line got pushed a little bit, but now we do have what I would view as a set closing date of August 11th.
Yeah, this is here again. There's so many moving parts in a project this size, and Chesapeake has been great to work with. But something pops up, we have to handle it real quick and make sure. But that's the target date. It's what we're shooting to do. And at that point, It'll be the Panther, what was it, Panther Athletic Club.
Yes, and we do have all of our Panther branding pretty close to finalized, and I'll be releasing that in the next couple of weeks here.
So I do have another question. With regards to the map of the fields, I noticed something that said something about summer water, winter ice.
Yeah, that we need to take that off of there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so that was kind of a play on our designer, and again, the designer that doesn't necessarily pay attention to budget, is that basketball court, Dick, tell me if I'm wrong, was originally designed so that they could flood it so it could be a skating rink in the wintertime. And so when it was brought up, I think the designer put it back on the plan. It'd be cool if we could do that. I think that, we'll see, but right now that's going to be more of a public space, / pavilion, so that there's a gathering area when people are at these tournaments. I think all of us have been to tournaments with our kids, and usually it's, hey, run to the field and then run back to your car. And we want to create a place where you don't always have to, where you can stay. You don't always have to, run to your game and run back to your car, but we want to create areas where people can actually congregate and be a little more comfortable. And so that's the goal for that. So yeah, I don't anticipate a water park being there, at least in phase one.
That was designed for that to be flooded. They never used it. It flooded accidentally. Some of the drains got clogged up, and they did have some ice form on it for several years, and people played on it a little bit, but it became a major liability, and they never did use it the way it was designed for. It's like the school was also designed to have a swimming pool added next to the gymnasium. The water lines were run, but they never did it. So a lot of forward thinking, but some of it just never happened.
So I know you mentioned that the turf fields, the goal date is March of 2022. So I'm guessing that is your first primary focus. What would be the next phase? Is that moving into the interior, the arenas?
No, those are all going to happen at the same time, because some of the groups that we're talking to for the inside, we actually have delivery obligations that would require us to deliver their premises by the end of the year. So we're actually working through the design of those now, and we'll have to submit those plans for permits. So the closing was really hitched to our ability to have permits to move forward on the field complex construction. So the minute we get those permits, we want to close and we want to be moving. And so we'll immediately start doing the site work for the fields, and we'll immediately start doing all of the access controls and the fire life safety stuff that's required for us to utilize the rest of the building. So while the auditorium's not going to be going through a major renovation with the exception of sound and lighting, we're going to have to be doing exit lights and fire panel replacement and other things so that can be safely occupied to its capacity. So all of those things are going to be phase one. So phase one would be the classroom renovation into office, fire, life safety, and cosmetic upgrades to all of the common areas, bathrooms, auditoriums, hallways, all that kind of stuff. So that's all part of phase one, so that really, come fourth quarter, that building will be able to be safely occupied at what we would consider a market capacity.
We did have another comment here, and Commissioner Weaver, I don't know if this is something you'd be able to address, but as the Hampstead area grows as a result of this amazing facility, are there plans to redistrict due to limited capacity at Manchester Valley High School?
Well, that's a good question. Redistricting becomes the school board's responsibility. The Board of Education we've discussed this with them. I am serving as liaison with the Board of Education, and we've mentioned the fact that redistricting may have to happen. I know they were having this issue in the Freedom area with elementary schools, are working through it. This may have to happen in this area too. And my opinion, we need a countywide redistricting to happen. Now, that is political suicide for anybody in office, I hate to say, but it's needed to restructure where the schools are and where the populations feed those schools. It's changed, and we haven't redistricted anything really, except for little areas in 20, 25 years. So these things are probably going to be have to be looked at. And I'd say the next Board of Education is going to be saddled with the responsibility of looking at all these areas. Yeah, Manval cannot handle, they can handle some, but only 120% capacity. After that, it becomes a problem.
Dick, I'd be happy. You can let the folks know that I've got some classrooms I'd be happy to rent back to the school.
Good, we will.
Okay, do we have any other questions? No, okay. Well, I think go ahead.
Do I have a couple minutes yet?
You absolutely have a few minutes. The floor is yours.
I just wanted to mention a couple of the things the commissioners are working on, and this has been a different year. This project I wanted to bring forward, though, while I had the opportunity to have the chamber on board, I wanted to introduce Matt and into this community and what we're doing. And this is going to be phenomenal. And I wish I should have set the time in August instead of June for this, but I think it's time to introduce it and let people know what's coming. And we are going to have a major town hall meeting after the settlement and go through this whole thing. The other part, the commissioners, our budget this year was interesting, to say the least. We had a lot of one-time money, but ongoing money to go into the budget was always a problem. And some of the things we've used this one-time money for, and I want to make people aware, we have the landfill issue. That's one that we're working on. We only had X amount of years left on landfill and how we're going to handle it. And it's one I've always been working on, thinking, how are we going to get rid of trash? What are we going to be doing? So the commissioners are actively engaged in trying to find a way to keep that going and expand our landfill into composting, a lot of the things we've just never really been able to get into. So we're working on that. It'll be another year before that comes out. But it's one area that it's kind of behind the scenes, but it gets to be a mess if you don't have it handled. So literally, it's a trashy situation down the road. One other thing is we decided we use some one-time money. There will be no gravel roads left in Carroll County. All roads will be hard surfaced. And we had about 50 miles left of roads in Carroll, and they will all have some kind of hard surface on in the next year or two. And now we were able to use some one-time money to make that happen. Most of them are up in District 1 area, but still have some one outside of Hampstead, Dos Garland, a little stretch in some areas. So that is one of the areas we are working on to deal with getting our infrastructure straightened out. And the last one I want to mention is we did have some one-time monies to get into federal money coming in, and we're going to be using a lot of that money for internet. I think this past year you've seen the areas of the county that have been deficient in internet service. I think with the school system going virtual, we've had some major issues brought up. People don't have internet services, or they're down in a valley somewhere and couldn't get the service they needed. So we're working on that with some state grants and with the federal money coming in. We're going to be putting a lot of money into internet and get people online as best we can here. So that's going to be our major focus. And I'm going to end with, we have one of the safest counties in the state of Maryland. We have one of the best fire and EMS services with our volunteers. We're working with those volunteers presently to move ahead on this to get some paid people so we stay at that level. And finally, we have a very good educational system in Carroll County, and we're trying to keep that as a top-notch focus here for us. So these three areas are, ones that we really, my focus is to keep strong in Carroll County. And by the way, I do have two Andrea, if she's still on, I still have two libraries in my district, Finksburg and Hampstead. And between Daryl and Heather, they are phenomenal in what they do in our library system. So I don't care what library you go to, they're great, but I kind of have the best two, I think, in the state, in the county, so, and in the state too. So thank you guys for what you do. Steve, I'll be quiet here unless people have questions.
All right. Are there any other questions? Becky, you want to wrap it up here?
I don't see any other questions. So I do have a comment that this looks fantastic, and thank you for bringing it to the community. So I can personally say, Commissioner Weaver, thank you so much for taking your time this morning to present with us. I know with my limited time here at the Chamber, I have learned just how involved all of our commissioners are, and it's very refreshing just, being able to chat candidly with you, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. I know you came to our Leadership Carroll program a few weeks ago, and one of the classmates, her biggest takeaway from the whole Leadership Carroll program was that you guys were bringing internet to her. So I know she was excited that that is in your plans. So I really appreciate you again taking the time today. Matt, really welcome to Hampstead. I'm just excited. Please extend our excitement to your team. And I know I personally can't wait to just see this transformation. Mike, if he were here, and hopefully I've done justice to what he would normally present, but he always tells you to shop local, that these folks are your neighbors. And like Matt said, he is a Hampstead resident too. So, I think that gives me as a resident full confidence that, in him and his team putting this in our community. In addition to that, I just want to thank Steve Aquino, who again is the chair of the 2021 Chamber Board of Directors. Thank you for your support today and always, as well as our sponsors, the Carroll County Public Library and Exploration Commons. If you haven't checked out the transformation that they have coming at Exploration Commons, please check it out. It is just going to be another amazing asset for this community. Taste of Carroll. I do have my passport book here. I did work in healthcare for a number of years, and I echo Aaron's sentiment, just the power of hospice and what they can do for a family. It is amazing to be able to support not only such a good cause, but also the restaurants in our community, which we all know has been having a challenging year with the pandemic. And then lastly, just have to thank once again, our friends at CMC. You guys are amazing. I don't know how we would do what we do without your support. So again, if you've been tuning in today, this was recorded. It will be available to view on CMC's website, their YouTube channel, their Facebook page, channels HD 1086, channel 19, and it will also be on the Chamber's website, which is carrollcountychamber.org. I definitely encourage you to check out our website to not only watch that video, but see our great events. Last little plug, we have that event on June 29th at Mercer Carpet, and we hope you'll be able to join us then. So thank you all for joining us.
Really quick, Becky, thank you for today. You did a fantastic job. I think Mike's got it's got a little challenge here going on.
I appreciate it.
And thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Mike,
who's money?
Mike who? My boss, so I can't say Mike who.
Yeah, right. What? Mike what?
But thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And we hope we'll see you on June 29th at Mercer Carpet.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Becky.